unfortunately I've only got used to one hand, so I can't be very verbal having a mic in my hand. First of all, I'd like to say a very great big welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for coming. I'm going to mix the languages, unless all of you understand English. Is everyone happy with English?
Yes.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Thank you.
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming today. You may be asking yourself, a man doing a motivational speech for a woman, and you might be right in saying that. But I believe the story that I have to tell transcends gender completely. And today I'm not here as a male talking to women, but rather a human being talking to other human beings. Because our plight stays the same, especially in the conditions we are. I might not understand the plight fully of a woman, but I certainly know about being homeless. I know what it is like to not know where your next meal is coming from. I also know the feelings of a husband who cannot care for his wife. They're not pleasant feelings. But most of all, I do understand what it is like to feel unsafe and unsure of your safety. Unfortunately, if you came here today to find pity, I'm sorry. Because I don't believe that people should pity other people. We need understanding and we need support. I came here today to tell you about my circumstances and hopefully to inspire you for your future. Let us forget about gender, just for 1 minute. Not that it's not important, because after all, we're all human beings. And although we see things slightly differently to each other, our feelings at the end of the day are exactly the same. And we all have rights. We have the right to equality, we have the right to freedom of discrimination, and the right to life, liberty and personal security. However, those rights come with responsibilities and the understanding that your rights are no more or no less important than anybody else's. Your rights do not allow you to deprive others of their rights. 10 years ago, for those of you that know me, my life changed in the blink of an eye. And I'm sure most of you sitting here today have exactly the same experience. We didn't choose for things to happen to us, they happened. And 10 years ago, or actually 11 years ago, I was involved in a car accident. And 10 years ago, a year after that, I lost everything. And believe it or not, you might look at me as a counselor today. But 10 years ago, I lived in the bush. I had no home. I lost my car, I lost my wife, I lost my home. And thanks to a friend who said he was going to help me, I ended up in Cozy Bay. Now, for those of you that don't know Cozy Bay, it's a small town north of KwaZulu-Natal with a total population of about 3,500 people. And although I don't like talking about race, it's a Zulu town and only 100 white people living in it. And the poverty in that place is unbelievable. The number of children living without parents due to HIV/AIDS was phenomenal. I couldn't believe what I saw there. And I went there originally because the friend of mine that I trusted was going to give me a job. He realized I didn't have a home. He realized I didn't have an income. And he made use of that to draw me and my wife into his world. I worked for him for 6 months and he didn't pay me. Now bear in mind, I didn't have any other income. But a person can only do that for so long before you realize that you're actually being used. And I had to make a choice. Either I carry on working for free, or I say enough is enough. And I made the choice and I decided to move. And where I moved to might not have been the streets of a city. In fact, if you put it into context, it was probably worse. Because I moved into the bush. Because that was all that there was there for me. And I lived in a Zulu hut. No water, no electricity. And I adopted 3 young gentlemen because their parents had passed away. And between us, we decided to pool our resources. And they had a fishing kraal in the river. And my wife and myself had furniture which we sold. And together we put food on the table. Now you're going to say to yourself, what relevance does this have to you? It's called survival. It's called choices. At that stage in my life, I really thought that there was no hope for me. I had no money to get out of it. I had no vision at that point. And I spent every single day, much like I think what you do. Where's your next meal going to come from? Where am I going to lay my head down tonight? How safe am I where I'm sleeping? And that took over my whole life for a year. Until a point when I realized that no matter what I do, and no matter who I ask for help, there's only one person that can make a difference. That's me. I needed to make a physical, mental decision that this was not the life I wanted. My wife, which some of you know, I imported from the UK. She came here, we met on Facebook. In February, I asked her to marry me before I knew that I'd lost everything. I'd never laid eyes on her until the day she arrived in South Africa with her dog and her furniture. Now bear in mind, this woman came from a first world country. The first time I laid eyes on her was as she walked out of the airport on the 4th of June, 2019, sorry. We were married 9 days later. And a year later, I'm sitting in the middle of KwaZulu-Natal, living in a Zulu hut. Why I'm saying this is, ladies, is as a husband, to take your wife and put her into that circumstances, you feel guilt. Anybody that doesn't feel that is inhumane. So basically, there I was, and I had to make this decision. And I realized, as I said, I had to make that investment in myself. And this is what I'm trying to say to you today. I don't know what is going on in your lives. I can't motivate you. I personally believe anybody that says they're a motivational speaker is talking nonsense. Because motivation comes from within. But I can try and inspire you. Because you do not need to live under the circumstances that you are. But I always say to people, we are so used to free apps on our telephone. How many of you got smartphones? Not many. A few of you. Now, on the smartphone, there's a little thing, it's App Store. And you can go in there and you can get free apps. Now, our lives, in many cases, are those free apps. We take what we can get because we're happy with it. Until such time as you decide to invest in that app. Because only then do you get the full potential of what that app was designed for. And putting this into a life experience, we need to invest in ourselves. Yes, we need help from others. But unless we invest in ourselves, we're never going to get to the full potential of who we are as people. Does that make sense to you? Maak dit sin vir julle?
Ja.
Want kom ek sê vir julle dames, die wêreld skuld ons niks nie. Regtig waar. I always say it in a lot of the talks I go to, the first thing that I ever do, or every morning in my life, is ask the question, why? Why did I wake up this morning? Why am I where I am today? And I know sometimes I stand in front of that mirror and I cry because I don't have all the answers to those whys. But I can assure you that if you ask those questions of yourself on a day-to-day basis, because nobody can answer that for you. Yes, we can blame shift and say, but it's because of the economy, it's because of the country, it's because of this, it's because of that. Which a lot of us decide to do. But if we are really honest with ourselves, and as hard as this may sound to you, in a lot of the cases, when we ask that question, why, and we're honest about it, we can find the answer within ourselves. Have you done what you can? Have you reached your full potential? And none of us have. Because the only time that you've reached your full potential is the day that you go lay your head down for the last time. Because as long as you're breathing, and as long as you have hope, you can do something about it. Choices is something that a lot of people, when I mention the word choices, they say, but how do I know? We don't know what the choices are, whether they're right or wrong. But the fact remains is that when you make the wrong choice, you have to acknowledge. Because unless you acknowledge that you have to make a change, you're never going to go back on the right path. And we all make mistakes. Believe me, I'm standing here as a counselor today, but I've done a lot of things in my life where I made the wrong choices. Three marriages, that's possibly some of them, but a person needs to make rectifications, and we ask for help, but are we prepared to listen to the answers? When you ask somebody for advice, again you have a choice. To accept what the person is saying, or to make your own choice and say, no, that is for my need, and you gaan aan. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say to you is that the responsibility is yours at the end of the day. Sorry. When I was living in Cozy Bay, I decided that this wasn't the life that I was in and wanting to live. So I started coaching a soccer team. And I realized, even though I had nothing, I could still give. And the more I gave, the more self-respect I received for myself. Because I became valuable, not only to myself, but to other people. And I think it's that sharing and helping others that makes you realize that we are all human beings at the end of the day. And even when you have nothing, and you give to somebody else, it doesn't have to be money, it doesn't have to be, but you give of yourself as a human being, and you listen, and you try and advise people on better ways to do it. I took on coaching, and I helped 20 young men, also stuck in the bush, with no prospects for the future, and I listened to them. And I found that they also did not see the potential in themselves. So we worked together. They saw the potential in me, and I saw the potential in them. And together, we made a soccer team, which eventually went on tours in the KwaZulu-Natal area, and we got sponsorships. I don't want to talk too long about the whole thing about that, but at the end of the day, 9 years ago, I decided enough was enough, and I needed to do something. And we moved. And bearing in mind, I came from the same place where you are now. And that's probably being very presumptuous, but when you have nothing and you feel as if you are at the bottom of everything, there's only one way, and that's up. And although it might seem difficult, and it might seem impossible, I think what the George municipality has done here today is we're saying to you, we care, we will help, we will listen, and we will advise. But the choice is yours. If you truly want to be helped, and you're prepared to invest in yourselves, we're there to help you. If you truly want to change, and you want to make a difference in your lives, we will help you. And although a lot of you don't want to hear this, I'm sure that not one of you here sitting here today is in this world alone. And although it might be difficult, we need to reach out to those that are closest to us, and those are blood, that is family. And if need be, we need to repair that, because there is no stronger bond than a mother and her children, or a brother and a sister, or even uncles and aunts. But family needs to be close to you. So what I'm trying to say to you, ladies, is this is your month. We can do whatever, we can put the programs together, we can pamper you today, we can give you whatever. But at the end of the day, you need to be special to yourselves. You have value. You are important. And we cherish you for that. Thank you very much.